So here's something most people don't realize, but a huge percentage of songs use the same exact chord progressions. And that's not a problem, but that's actually part of the secret. So if you're struggling with chords or you feel like you don't know enough theory behind chords, then this episode's for you. Because once you understand how chord progressions work, then you're going to stop running out of ideas and you're going to stop getting stuck with that portion of building a track. And once you stop feeling blocked, writing music actually becomes a lot more fun. And you can actually choose the chord progression based on the emotion and mood that you want to set for your track. So in this episode, I'm going to give you guys a handful of chord progressions that you can go ahead and try in your projects, and you can use those and see how different chord progressions will affect your writing style and give you a different result. But before we do that, I want to just say that one of the biggest misconceptions in music and for new producers is people think that you need a brand new chord progression, that you can't copy a chord progression. And honestly, I want to take a moment to say that if you have a chord progression in mind, like a chord progression you've fallen in love with over time, seriously, try writing a track with it. Feel free to borrow it. As long as you're not copying the melody, copying the song, copying all the lyrics, borrowing the chord progression is totally normal. And I even encourage you guys, turn on the radio and listen to the most popular songs and figure out the chord progressions, and you'll find out that they're all using the same handful of chord progressions. They always have been. Okay. Literally entire decades and genres of music are built around a small set of chord progressions. If you even think of the blues, a lot of 1-4-5 chord progressions. And really, the emotion comes from the way you use the chords and the way you write the music and the lyrics and the emotion that you put into it. Okay. So there's the benefit to using the same chord progressions as everybody else is all the songs kind of instantly sound familiar, and it makes the listener sort of feel safe, but it also helps them sort of connect to emotions they already feel. So instead of asking yourself, what chords should I use? I want you to ask a different question. What does this track feel like? Or what kind of feeling do I want to capture? And some feelings you might think of as hopeful, dark, euphoric, epic, tense, calm, meditative. So choosing your chord progression allows you to sort of choose the overall feeling of the track. And it's okay if you don't know what chord progressions sound like what. I suggest the best way to learn chord progressions and how they sound is listen to some of your favorite songs, figure out the chord progressions, and see how they make you feel. What feeling did that song give you? And it takes time, guys. It takes learning probably about 1,000 songs. No joke. If you could learn the chord progressions to about 1,000 songs, you will get very familiar with them and you'll understand how different progressions feel, and then chords will become intuitive instead of stressful or mysterious. Again, a lot of songs use the same handful of chords, and you'll start to realize that a lot of people are hitting the same themes. So now that we have the basic framework of our track, let's go ahead and drop a piano in here, and that will allow us to enter in some basic chords and get a feel for some basic chord progressions. I'm going to give you guys a handful of about 5 or 6 different flavors of chord progressions we can work with, and I'll give you sort of my general interpretation of the feeling behind these chord progressions. Again, guys, at the end of the day, you're the artist, so However, these chords make you feel, and the direction that you want to take it is the point. So I'm going to show you guys these chords. Please feel free to use them. They're very popular chords. Tons of productions, tons of songs have been made with these chords, okay? But these chord progressions work. So the first chord progression. So I'm going to include a download folder that you guys can download this sheet from. And you can download this sheet and use it on your own. Now, real quick, guys, if you don't know how to read Roman numerals, I definitely suggest that you guys take some time to learn how to read chord progressions in Roman numeral format. And what's nice about this is if we remove the key signature, it will boil down to the same Roman numeral progression. And this just removes the need for identifying the key. That way it's adaptable to whatever project you're in. So for this project in this file, we're going to work in A minor, and that way we'll keep it easy for everybody, and we only need to use the white keys on the keyboard. So the first chord progression we're going to program into the file here is this epic uplifting chord progression. So once you load up your piano, whatever piano you want to use, I'm just going to use this contact instrument, this Grandeur piano, and I'm going to plug in the first chord progression here, which is 1, 6, 7, 1. And what that means is we're going to play the A minor chord, we're going to go to F major, we're going to play a G major, and then we're going to come back to A minor, and we're going to loop this. And I gave you guys a little note here. This one is a very hopeful, rising forward motion, sort of epic chord progression. This is a classic uplifting trance track, or just trance progression in general. So when it comes to programming our chord progressions, I recommend you guys start around middle C, okay? Around C4. And we're just going to start with basic triads, and we're going to make them 1 bar each. And it's up to you if you want to do 1 bar chord progressions, or if you want to hold your chords out for 2 bars. The choice is yours. Doing 1 bar trance, or doing 1 bar chord progressions tends to work more for like uplifting trance, where classic trance tracks tend to do more of these longer chord progressions. So you can experiment. Shorter chords gives more of a driving track, and longer chords gives just a different feeling in general. So for this first A minor chord, we're going to just build a simple triad around middle C. I'm just going to plug in the A, and again, our chord progression was A, F, G, A, F, G, and we're going to plug in the rest of our triad. And we're just going to keep it simple starting out, guys. You don't have to break your head over chords. Just do a simple triad, that's enough. Okay, so this is A, C, E, F, A, C, G, B, C. Back to A, C, E, and let's give that a listen. Okay. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but this is where you guys need to trust the process. And I promise you, if you follow this process in this order, you will create tracks over and over again. And so I just want to highlight again, guys, the point of this process is to give you guys a repeatable process that you can use over and over again to make tracks. So I know this doesn't sound like much right now, but right now we're doing a lot of the basic front work for building the track. And getting this out of the way in the beginning makes finishing the track a lot easier. So the next chord progression we're going to take a look at is this pop anthem chord progression. This is a really great chord progression if you're looking to do a melody first type of track. If you want a catchy track, something poppy, something that is familiar. And this chord progression, let's go ahead and and this chord progression is A, F, C, G. We'll go ahead and plug this in. A, F. Up to you if you want to go down to C. Or you could go up to C, but we're going to go A, F, G. Okay, and we're going to plug in the rest of the triad. So that's a really great chord progression, very familiar. Okay guys, next chord progression. This is a great cinematic chord progression for building tension and bringing release. And it's 1, 5, 6, 5. Okay, and a lot of these are minor chord progressions, but these are great ones to start with. And then this is a variation on the pop chord progression that we did earlier. This one's very, again, very nostalgic, very familiar, and another great chord progression you can use when you want a track that is melody forwards. Sorry, the root notes, A, C, E, C, G. Okay. Okay, guys, and so that's literally the next step that I do. I decide what chord progression I'm going to use and what key I'm going to be in for the track. Again, I chose to do all of this in A minor just to keep it straightforwards for you guys, but it's up to you if you want to choose a different key. You know, as we bring these chords lower, so I just took the first chord progression and moved it down to E minor. And the benefit to this is that by choosing the key signature, we can actually pitch the music a little bit lower, and it will actually hit the club system and the speakers differently based on the frequency of the root note. And again, this becomes a thing of taste, genre. It's up to you and sort of the flavor of music you're trying to make. So here's what the same chord progression sounds like in E minor. And again, this is what it originally sounded like when we had it in A minor. I think I actually prefer it in E minor. So it's up to you guys what chord progression you use. Again, I gave you a bunch of minor chord progressions. I personally like to make music in minor, but feel free to find some major chord progressions. Again, do some more research. I can only make a video so long and go so in depth. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to you guys to explore the concept of chords further. Really understand chords. Do some homework. Listen to as much music and as many tracks as you can, and figure out what chords are they using. And that will give you a clearer idea of what chord progressions to follow, and if you're hitting the mark with your music commercially. All right, hey, thanks for checking it out, guys. Let me know if that helps. Leave your questions in the comments, and of course, in future videos, we're going to explore this concept further. But in the next video, we're actually going to talk about now the instrumentation that goes into this track. Now that we have a key signature picked out, which I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with, which one do you think you guys are going to go with? And I'll try to drop these MIDI files. Again, I'll leave a link to a project folder where you guys can download these MIDI files, drop them into your project, try them out. Let me know which chord progression you're going to pick for your project. If you went with one of these, if you have chord progressions you like to use. And we'll see you guys in the next video where we're going to talk about instrumentation and we are going to meet the band. That's right, the band of instruments that we're going to need to make a full-blown trance production. So, hey, see you guys in the next video. Thanks for hanging out.